What's up? So I'm gonna make this video again because clearly my camera didn't record the whole thing and said battery exhausted, so I'm quite really annoyed. So I have to explain this again. So I made a video basically saying how lust, adultery, smoking, porn, alcohol, and all these addictions that people have are making us more lonely, more suicidal, and making me realize that through these addictions, how much we love God. Now, for you saying, how does having alcohol addiction make you love God more? Or porn addiction, or lust addiction, you know? Well, I have a porn addiction, and that's not easy to say, and knowing that I'm lonely, I'm empty, I'm tired, I'm drained, I'm been alone for so long on my own, being a middle child. I have nobody to talk to. I talk to the Lord, but I just feel like in times where I've just closed off from everybody, that I'm literally cried to the Lord, knowing that He's the only one who's ever there for me, and knowing through this addiction, oh my jeez, I'm starting to cry. Through this addiction, through porn, made me realize that I love the Lord more through this addiction, and knowing that I love the Lord more through this addiction with porn, because it made me realize that He's the only one who's there. He's the only one that listens, and He's the only one who knows about this addiction. I don't talk to anybody about these addictions and that I have, and especially other people. Everybody has addiction. Everybody has these things that go on in our lives that nobody knows about, and feels like just nobody cares. And nobody cares because so many people have things going on. Everybody has a busy lifestyle, and everybody has other problems, and we all just can't figure out every other people's problems because we already have our own, you know. And it made me realize through this porn addiction that He's the only one who's ever made me realize how much I do love Him, because through going on porn made me realize that I keep going back to Him and feeling guilty and feeling shameful and feeling as if I'm in regret because I did this against Him in heaven, and knowing that it was wrong, and not just that it's a sin, but it's a more of a, why did I do this? Why did I just do this? I shouldn't have done this. Jay, you love the Lord more than this. It's knowing about you loving the Lord more than this addiction, and knowing that through these addictions that we all have, makes you realize how much you do love the Lord, because He's the one who's there after this addiction that you do or commit or whatever it be. And knowing that so many people deal with these drugs addictions, these alcohol addictions, and through me dealing with this porn addiction, it made me realize that I'm feeling more alone from the loneliness, the emptiness, and not just going on porn because of it. You know, you should get more in prayer through these addictions, such as if you have an alcohol addiction, try to make more friends and be less lonely, and get outside. And if you have a porn addiction, you know, if you tell the Lord that you need physical touch, tell the Lord that you need people to hang out with and even talk to. Through smoking, tell people that you're stressed out. You know, why is it that you do this addiction? Why is it that you smoke? Not just because I'm do for fun or I'm numb inside. Really get really deep in prayer through this addiction. Why? You know, I really got deep with Him in prayer about my porn addiction and why I do it, and how can I help, and basically just the solutions that I need other than going on porn, you know. And I think most people should be doing this too. In these addictions, we should be going to the Lord and saying, okay, I have this addiction, but can you help me as to what's really going on? Not me going, or even people having sex addictions, for example. That's a perfect example of this. You know, people are having sex every single day. Some people have so many sex partners that it's like, ugh, you really just need physical touch. You need somebody to hug. You need somebody to talk to. You need somebody who be there for you 100% as a real friend. And you need the right resources other than doing this sex. And most people who have sex addictions are in pain. So tell the Lord you're in pain rather than doing the sex addiction. Now, is that going to solve everything? No. But you have to go deep into prayer with him about this addiction. And that's what I realized through these addictions that I had, is going deep into prayer from things I dealt with in my life. This is not just about porn, but this is about like every other addiction that I've had. Going deep in, okay, this is what the sin is. This is how I need to be not doing this or committing this. And is there any resolutions that I can do to not do this? And you know, like try to get to the root of the problem, if that makes sense. You know, I think most people who smoke, drink, they just think it's some little activity, I'd say, because other people are doing it with you. But realizing that you're all in pain, you all need somebody to love you, care for you, and at the end of the day, what I just said was, everybody in this world needs somebody to care for them. Can everybody in the whole world care for one person? No. Can everybody in the whole world care for all the problems going in the world? No. But we can all learn to know that the Lord is with you, and the Lord can deal with this situation, this sin, and this addiction that you have going on. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy just going through a prayer and saying the next day you're going to be done with it and say screw it and I'm done with it, you know. It's a progression and it's a hard thing to do, but it's for the best, for your mentality, your soul, and your spirit. And through these addictions, it made me realize that how much you really get deeper into prayer and knowing what you really needed at the time rather than this addiction. And by closing off this video, I want to say how if you're dealing with porn, to really get deep into prayer and really tell him what's going on, and what things you need, what things you want to change, you know, rather than, or if you're dealing with alcohol, I'm dealing with alcohol, Lord, but I'm empty inside, or I have no friends, and I do this because of this. So can you help me with this? You know, I just think people just think it's all just one player, like, oh, I have alcohol addiction, blah, 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 you know? It's more about, what do you need? What do you need in your soul? What do you need in your life, you know? And I think I feel more sad looking at everybody else in this world who have an alcohol addiction and knowing that they're in pain and they won't listen to you because they all don't care about listening to the Lord, and they only want what's best for them, which is to drink alcohol, and thinking that it's going to help them till the day they die. And I just think this whole world is screwed up by these addictions, because we're all in pain, we're all empty, we're all lonely, we're all doing the same things. We all have addictions. So I don't understand why everybody wakes up so we can all heal together. But clearly nobody wants to heal together. And like I said, it's not going to be easy. It's not just I'm done with this addiction, okay, the next day you're fine. You're never going to do this addiction again. That's not it. It's hard. And we are to avoid it, but not stay in it, if that makes sense. And I think it hurts more when you believe in the Lord, you know it's a sin, you know you're guilty, and you just did this. And you feel more shameful, more guilty when you believe in Christ, rather than you're just an unbeliever and not know much about the Lord. It hurts more because you know this hurts the Lord, and knowing that He loves you. And I just feel like everybody would just judge me if I said this out loud, but I know the Lord would probably say, why are you doing this, you know? It just hurts more knowing that, like, he's one looking out for you and you're still in this sin. Or he's delivered you and then you're going back into it, which I've done so much. And I just feel like more alone in this journey. And knowing that he's the only one who's ever helped me. And basically just want to say how if you're dealing with porn addiction, if you're dealing with any other addiction that you secretly deal with, I'm here for you. Put in the comments something that you deal with, addiction of yours, or you got past of, and really focus on yourself. Go to the gym. I know these days it's hard to make friends because everybody's just so lonely and everybody's so busy and everybody just doesn't trust anybody these days. But you can always find the Lord in his presence, and to stay in the isolation season and to get well in your mind, your body, in your soul on your own. And I think the best thing to do through these addictions, and what I've been trying to do, is stay in that solitude journey and celibacy journey, and to know that you hear him more while you're alone. You don't hear the Lord that much while you're with around a lot of people and a lot of friends and everything. I think that we're all dealing with all these addictions at a young age, which screwed us up mentally, all of us in this whole world, and we're not being taking control of our trauma or of healing. We are just finding addictions to cope with, and I don't like it at all with anybody. We're all dealing with it. I'm dealing with it, but I don't like my sin. I don't like the way I'm dealing with this. I don't like the way that I'm sinning against the Lord. I don't like the way that I keep going back to this. I don't like the way that I hurt the Lord. I don't like the way I hurt Jesus. I just don't. I don't. And it'd be so much easier if the Lord were to show us better ways to not be tempted by these addictions. But in all with going saying, we need to get in a Bible, period. That's the only thing that's gonna ever help us, is get into a Bible and to really know that he's there, and the presence that you need is the Lord, and not a friend. Especially dealing with addictions, the last thing you need is somebody to talk to about it. The only person who can really understand what you're really feeling in your heart and what you've gone through is the Lord. Go to the Lord first, and then go to the friend second. That's what I recommend doing. And I could tell everybody in the whole earth to do that. Go to the Lord first, find a friend second. Because it's more of a knowing that he knows what you've been through, if that makes sense. And knowing he sees you in the sin. He knows that you're dealing with it. He knows that you're not okay. He knows that you're lonely. He knows that you're dealing with this for a while. He knows that you're struggling with this. He knows that you feel empty, tired, all the symptoms, basically. And the only thing that we need is him in our life and in our heart to know that we're okay. And the only reason we can be okay is in his presence and being a believer of the Lord, and to know that he's the one who's there for us, rather than this worldly schemes of what the world is. And through these lies of these addictions, the only way we can get better is through the Lord. Oh, this taxi right beside me. Ugh. Anyways, closing this out, I just want to say I love you, Jesus loves you, and you can get better with the Lord. Peace.